Right, welcome. So here we are then, part one of what's going to turn out to be a massive project, I think. We're going to try and turn all of this lot into something that looked a lot closer to the 6-foot miniature, the way they used it in Star Trek Generations after it was refurbished from the TV series. This is the clear kit from AMT. Rare as hen's teeth, really expensive. Not worth the money that people want you to pay for it, but that's it. You know, it's a seller's market, so we've got to pay what they want. So that's one of those guys. We've got the brass etch set from Green Strawberry. Absolutely indispensable. When you're building this kit to like a higher sort of degree of accuracy, you must have this kit. And we've got a load of resin parts here that I developed myself. And I'll take you through more details about this sort of stuff in a sec. So just a quick sort of overview of the project, how it's going to go, or I hope the way it's going to go is there's going to be a lot of kit modification to the existing kit parts. Obviously, we're going to be changing a lot of parts and modifying some existing parts with more detail. We're going to be putting a lot of lighting features into this kit. We're going to be going all out with the lighting with an Arduino, pretty basic Arduino code, but there will be an Arduino portion to this project, and there's going to be extensive painting done to this kit to try and capture all of this Aztec panel detail that you can see all over the surface of it. You can get wallpaper decals set for this kit that gets a fairly good approximation of the Aztec, but in my opinion it's nowhere near accurate. And we'll go into all of this sort of stuff in much more detail as the time comes to cover those sorts of things. But I'll be painting this one with a set of paint masks that I'll be developing and cutting with a desktop vinyl cutter. And again, there's a lot of stuff we need to get through in this project. So I'm not going to be spending a lot of time going over basic stuff. There's lots and lots of YouTube channels that are available and lots of builders out there sharing their knowledge, and it's great. But I've got a lot of stuff to get through this project, and I don't really want to be repeating what loads and loads of other guys are already saying in terms of sort of entry level and sort of basic level techniques and materials and stuff like that. So let's I'll assume that you're all familiar with that sort of thing, and we'll just sort of skip over that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the overview. I'll go into a little bit of detail about these parts, and if you're not familiar with the Green Strawberries photo etch, I'm sure you are, but go a little bit into that. And now you're gonna have to forgive me for a little bit of indulgence here. I'm gonna do the old here's one I prepared earlier bit, because I've already started without you. I couldn't wait. Plus I didn't know if you were really turning up or not, so I thought, you know, let's get cracking with it. So I'm going to actually go through these parts as they've been installed in the kit and talk through where we are now with the project. So I'll be back in a sec. Right, so let's have a quick chinwag about these parts. I'm sure most of, if not all of you, are aware of this photo etch set from Green Strawberry, even though you may not even have it in your possession. But if you want to build this kit to, you know, a really good high standard and like much more closely representative of how it should look, then you definitely need to get it, this set. Kind of speaks for itself. You can see all the phaser etch detail. There's a second fret in here. I don't want to open up this packet, but I encourage you, if you don't know about this set, to go online and Google Green Strawberry. If you can read that, Green Strawberry, they're in the Czech Republic, but they're brilliant. These and Power Graphics are, you know, they're the top dogs. So as a little slight caveat, I won't be using a lot of the details in this set, specifically the phasers, I'm not going to be using those. I've got a different solution for those. And some of the other parts I won't be using, like the shuttle bay door, I'll come on to that in a sec. But I will be using other elements of this photo etch set, so it's definitely a must for this project, and I think for your project too. So go and get one if you haven't got one. So yeah, go and check in for yourself and have a look at that. Right, so resin parts. I'll kind of rattle through these, and then I'll show you how I've got the kit parts sort of semi-prepared, or in their kind of sort of semi-prepared state. So the first big part is a corrected dorsal part. It's got the window placements in the correct positions. It's got the main impulse engine in the right place. The kit dorsal part is nowhere near accurate, and this is one that I developed similar to the Tetrion part that was released from Tetrion Parts a few years back, but Pat's not producing his parts anymore, sadly, so I had to go and get my own set made up. So that's what this is, my dorsal. It looks similar to Pat's, but it's mine, and I've covered the way that this and all of the other parts have been mastered on the Facebook page. So if you want more detail on how I created those, then it's all on there. Go and have a look. So there's that. There's corrected Bassard collectors that go on the end of the warp nacelles. The kit ones are abysmal when you've built the nacelles. There's gaps everywhere. They're the wrong shape. The lozenges aren't the right shape, and they're a proper pain to try and get light to diffuse inside them, and so they look fairly accurate. These ones get you much closer to the goal. They're not exactly bang on accurate, but they're a lot closer, and they diffuse light beautifully. They look exactly screen accurate even when you just poke some holes in the back there and put some LEDs in, just as a quick test. It looks amazing. I'm really happy with those. The other parts, quickly, there's the nav light for the nacelles. I don't actually have a spare set of these to show you the cast parts. This is just the old master. Took a little bit of a ding while I was digging out of the mould, but so that's the master for that. A pair of saucer impulse engines. Kit parts are, again, they're not too bad, but they're not that accurate. The outside of the kit parts is sort of raised, got raised rib detail where it should be recessed, like etched sort of scribed lines. So they're closer to the way they should look. Again, they're not 100%, but they are a lot better. There's some windows missing in front of the captain's yacht, so that's my part for those. I don't know if you can see the windows there. There are 6 windows. Six. So that goes in the lower saucer, and a corrected shuttle bay door and frame and sort of landing platform. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not used to looking in this screen, so sorry if you couldn't see after that. Yeah, again, the frame and the door that come on the stock kit parts is pretty inaccurate. So yeah, so that's the parts. On the nacelles, that's one of the nav light clusters installed. Obviously you don't need to see the other one, but I'm working on these grill parts, and I'm still not sure whether I'm going to carry on with these, because they're a bit of a pain. And I haven't tested them properly to see how well the light diffuses, but basically the kit parts, they're really warped, and the key to these parts is getting dead straight, parallel, evenly spaced lines in that grill work there, and the kit parts are just crap. So I've attempted to make my own, and I've cast them in translucent urethane, same material these are, and it's fine. Ooh, chuck them about, man. it's fine. They look good, but they're quite flexible being urethane. They're not like really, really hard, which is good because they won't break, but also it means that they're quite susceptible to getting a bit of a twist and getting a little bit of a distortion set into them. So you have to handle them with care. So I'm not really sure how far I'm going to chase this down the rabbit hole. We'll see. We'll find out together. So that's just a quickie about the parts just as they are, and I'll show you just where I've got them assembled just at the moment. That's the shuttle bay door with a load of filler sort of thrown around it. I haven't sanded it back yet. That's had a couple of laps of the fill sand routine, but we've got a few more to go yet. And you can see like the shape of the step is better. It's more representative of how it actually is on the proper 6-footer. So there's that. There's the captain's yacht forward windows. Again, we're on lap 2 or 3 of the fill sand repeat. So that's going somewhere. On the nacelles, obviously I've got the nav light clusters going on both nacelles. I've got some of the photo etch installed there, the docking port, and rebuilding the outer sort of surface. So we've got that recess step. It looks rough as all hell at the minute, but don't worry about that. We'll suss it out as we go. It will look a lot better than that. I think next I'll talk quickly about the main mods that need to be made to the kit to get it really looking much more accurate. Stuff that you can do straight out the box, and it goes a long way. Right, quick show and tell time. I'll try and keep this brief. If I start waffling, give me a smack. One of the big things that you can do straight out of the box with this kit to try and get you on the road to a more accurate representation of how it looked in generations is to get rid of all of this raised detail that you can see all over the surface of every millimeter of the kit. You can see on these parts are from a donor kit that I bought off. I think I bought it off eBay quite a while ago. So forgive the roughness, and you see it was yellow. Anyway, shut up. So all of this raised texture and stuff, it's pretty good actually, and fair play to the guys who built the masters and the tooling way back in the 80s, because there's a hell of a lot of work gone into that. So my hat's off to you. The only problem is it wasn't raised up like that on the original. It was just painted on, and it had some really shallow panel lines etched into the surface of the 6-footer, but nothing like this. So if you want to start down the accurate road, all of this stuff has to go. You can see it all over the saucer as well, and the phaser strips are just plain, which is fine. That's exactly how they looked back while AMT were making the tooling for this injection molded kit. This is exactly the way they looked, but obviously we're going for the generations look, so we need to deal with this. So the first thing to deal with all that is to get yourself some nice sandpaper, sit down, kiss your evenings goodbye, and sand it all away. Most people kind of draw their line and keep the phasers and keep the lifeboats, but I haven't. The whole lot is gone, and in some instances I've gone even as far as to take the plastic past where the grid lines are, so it's absolutely smooth. And I'll go into the reasons why I did that later down the line. Not just, not for this overview. So as an example, a good example, here's the current state of the raw kit part that I've got out of my project next to how it is out of the box. Obviously, this is opaque, this is clear. Yes, well done. 10 out of 10, Wayne. But you can see this one, there's no windows, there's no raised surface details, and there's no grid lines, nothing. It's all smooth. And the reason I've done that is because not only are these etched grid lines in slightly the wrong place, and the raised Aztec sort of marcations are in the wrong place, but also for generations, all of these window positions, nearly half of them don't exist anymore. And I think what happened was when they refurbished the 6-foot miniature to make generations, obviously it had been in storage for quite a while at that point, so it needed a big refurbish job doing to it. And through that refurbishment, they decided that they were going to lose a load of windows for various reasons, getting filled in or whatever. I wish I was there, I wasn't. Can't tell you why it happened, but it did. So instead of spending days and days marking which window needs to stay, which one needs to move a little bit, which ones need to go and which ones need to be filled in, etc. It was just quicker for me, because the sort of the tools I've got at my disposal. It was quicker for me just to get rid of the whole lot and start from a flat surface. So what I would do is draw up a CAD profile for both sides of this piece and use that to cut window masks and grid line guides, and I will create new window reveals. And again, I'll go into that again in another video later on down the line, because that's quite a lot to go through there. So the kit part here as it stands is it's all smooth, it's clear, it's ready to go, but the strong back also has started to be modified. All of the details are filled in there. The exhaust ports are in the wrong place, so they're filled in. They will be resited or resituated rather. And the strong back shoulder is much more of a gentle fillet on the 6-foot miniature rather than what you see there. It's quite a step, if you can make it out. You've probably got this kit, have a look at it, but you shouldn't see that drop off there. It should be much more of a smooth kind of fillet. So that's where we are with that. So yeah, this has been done to most of the surface of the ship, not all the way down like this part. For the most part, I've just taken all of the phasers and all of the lifeboats and obviously all of the Aztec stuff down. I'm hoping to save as many windows as I can, because I don't want to go through this process through the entire kit, but I haven't really checked the reference closely enough to know whether I need to do that yet or not. I hope I don't, but if I do, I do. Never mind. So yeah, I hope I made that clear. We'll be going through this a lot more detail in a little while, so let's move on. I'll catch you in a sec. Right, so the last thing I want to try to briefly cover is how I'm going to tackle the Aztec pattern for the Generations paint scheme specifically, because as I'm sure you're aware, maybe you're not, when they repainted the ship for Generations, it wasn't just a two-tone AB Aztec. It had highlight layers for the buff and the blue layers, so there's actually 4 tones going on there. And I think, for me at least, it's as complicated and as difficult, if not more so, than the Enterprise refit from the motion picture paint scheme. That's famous for being sort of the be-all and end-all of panel paint work, and it really is. It's gorgeous, but the Enterprise D has its own set of challenges, whereas the refit was it was an AB pattern that was broken up in quite a random way, with just different shapes of like squares and rectangles and things like that were kind of laid down almost at random. They could go anywhere in any the A or the B side, if you like, of the pattern. But the Enterprise D isn't like that. It's the segments aren't repeated very many places in the rest of the ship, and when you get into the subsets like the buff and the blue Aztec like accent colours, some of these subdivisions are absolutely unique, and don't go anywhere else. So you have to paint that shape in that position only. It won't, you won't find it anywhere else on the entire ship. So it's a very deliberate kind of paint job, and which is great. It looks great, but it's a pain to try and recreate, which I've done a few times. I'm not a stranger to this paint job. I've done it a few times, and up until recently, I didn't have a vinyl plotter, and this, what you can see, was my Stone Age solution to that problem. These were all hand drawn with French curves and architect pens and pencils, and it took months of R&D and scouring through as much reference as I could find, and lots and lots of trial and error. And the results that I got out of these were really, really good. I was really, really pleased with it. It's just the amount of time that it takes to use these, because I would have to buy A4 mask sheets, photocopy each of these sheets. There's 24 sheets per sort of subset, so there's 24 sheets to do the main Aztec, then there's 24 sheets to get the buff or the blue accent, and then there's 24 more sheets. You know, it just kind of gets crazy. But they would be scanned onto some kind of masking material, usually paper, like a sticky back paper, and then I would sit there for weeks and weeks and weeks that I would never get back, cutting with cutting with a knife, and then applying to the surface of the model and spraying it, taking them off. You know, we're all well familiar with that dance. And it took forever. It was worth it in the end because the results were brilliant, but I didn't want to sit there and just lose my life doing that. So when I got the vinyl plotter, I decided that I was gonna bake these into a digital form that I could then easily get the vinyl cutter to do the heavy lifting for me, and then these, you know, if the house burns down, I don't have to spend a year recreating all these things. They're going to be on the cloud storage somewhere. So that's the idea. That's what we're going to go for. That's going to take quite a long time. So I'm going to be chipping away at that in between other stuff. But yeah, so hopefully in the end, we'll have a mask set that's really repeatable and easily edited, and you know, and all that good stuff. One quick note: these aren't based or tracings of the Aztec wallpaper decals that you can get for this kit. These are based on the actual filming miniature. As far as I could find, as many reference photos, it's as close as I could get at the time. Obviously, I'm going to be sort of checking and correcting parts that I've missed or things that, you know, need a little bit of touch up or a little bit of attention, but they are not based on the wallpaper decals because they are not accurate. There are some quite glaring areas, and I might point them out when we get to them, because it's, you know, you might be interested in that sort of thing if you're a bit of a sort of rivet counter with this sort of thing, as I seem to have become. I never thought I would be, but there we are, guilty as charged. So yeah, again, these are not based on those. These are from scratch, as close as I could get at the time, and by the time I've finished this process, they will be as close as I can get, period, and I won't be looking at them ever again. So yeah, that's the paint anyway. Again, we'll be going through all this stuff in much more detail when we get to that part of the project further down the line. I hope that was clear. I think that's all there is to go through for now, without getting too much into the weeds. So we'll have a quick wrap up and recap, because I've probably chopped on for quite a while now. Right, well, there we have it. That's hopefully a brief overview. When I cut this together, it's probably going to be like an hour long and me just chopsing on. I hope you haven't been too bored by it. I've tried to be as clear and brief as I can, but like I said in the outset, this is going to be a hell of a project. It's going to be a mammoth. It's going to take quite a lot of time, and there's a lot of stuff to go through. Like I said, I'm not going to be covering basics. I'm not going to spend too much time doing that, because I've got a lot of work on this project already, and some of it's pretty in depth. We're going to be deep diving, especially into like windows, making new window placements and stuff like that. So by all means, go out there and find some fellow YouTubers who are covering that sort of stuff much better and much more clearly than I probably am. So there's not much more left to say. Oh, I haven't mentioned anything about lighting specifically because I don't use off-the-shelf lighting kits. I make my own bespoke systems and do my own Arduino programming, so there's nothing to show yet because I haven't really started putting lights in anything. But as and when that happens, obviously I will go through what I've done and how I've done it, etc. That's about it. There's nothing much more for me to say right now until we start really getting into the long grass with this. So the first step is going to be how I go about creating new window reveals in areas that don't have them anymore. So hopefully you'll come back for that and you haven't been bored to tears. Thanks for coming to my channel. Go to my Facebook page if you want to know a little bit more about how I develop the masters for the replacement parts. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Catch you later.